Coach, first just talk about announcement, I guess, a couple of months back, but it feels like a whirlwind. What's it like to be back at Auburn?
Incredible. This is home. Always has been. Always will be. Phenomenal place. Phenomenal town. Everything about Auburn. And what you learn is football's a real thing, but it's also about all the sports. It's about the university. It's about that logo you put on your chest. It just means a lot to be at a place like Auburn, and I'm blessed to be here once again. Yeah.
What just was kind of, I guess, the initial reaction, maybe the emotions of it when AG kind of told you about like this opportunity and wanting to bring you along, of course, coming back to your alma mater?
Yeah, I think surreal, right? Just emotionally incredible. Just my journey to get here as a player, now my third time here as a coach, just incredible. And being able to come back with somebody I really respect, believe in Coach Gus. Again, I'm at a loss of words, and to be able to come back to my university, my alma mater, and really help us get the program back to where you're winning championships again, because every time I've been here, that's what I've done. And so I'm excited to be back at my alma mater and give back so much of what Auburn gave to me. And I'm ready to get to work, which that's all we've been doing.
You know what it takes at Auburn, and you know what it takes in this offense. How would you describe that as a wide receiver group, what it takes to be successful on both of those fronts?
Yeah, I think I talk to my players right now all the time about it, and here at Auburn you got to be different. And I think it starts with just the edge and a toughness factor that you got to be able to be critical in the run game, to be able to help there, and that obviously opens up the pass game. And when you look at defenses, right, you have to be able to stop the run. That's football one-on-one. I don't care if you're an offensive coach, defensive coach. They always talk about we have to stop the run, we have to run the ball. And so when you're able to run the ball, due to receivers also helping in the run game, as a defensive coordinator, you got to allocate resources in the box. So now you go from 2 high to 1 high, and that's when, as a wideout, you want to go eat. And so our offense is wide open. We're going to take what the defense gives us, and we're going to have a lot of opportunities for receivers to go one-on-one and be out in a lot of space. And that's when we operate at a high clip. And why there's been success dating back to us at Tennessee, Coach Gus at UCF, and also USF the last year.
Yeah. What excites you about this? I mean, it's a rebuilt wide receiver room, but you know a lot of the guys that are in here. What excites you about this room?
Man, just these guys know the system, ultra competitive, and then also guys that have been proven, right? Like we open up, you play Boise, number 25 in the country, and then have 2 guys that essentially go for 100 yards. You know, you play Florida in the swamp at USF. Really good defense. Obviously struggled a little bit offensively last year, but defensively a real team. And you go in there and you win in the swamp, which is hard to do. And then you play Miami. You got a guy that goes for close to 140 yards, and Chaz and Keyshawn that went, close to 100 as well. So we have guys that are proven at this level. I don't care how you slice it. And that's the one thing about the country and as far as playing football. I don't care what level you're playing at. Everybody has really good skill players. The difference in that league and the SEC is the O-line, D-line. It's just a different ball game. But there's a ton of good skill players, man. Dating back to when I was at MTSU, I had NFL guys. When I was at Arkansas State, I had NFL guys. So anywhere you go, there's going to be really talented skill players. And as long as those guys translate into what you do and fit the specs and the mode of what you want to do, you're going to be fine. So, again, obviously rebuilt. There were some talented guys in the room, a couple guys last year that chose to do something else, and that's what college football is right now. And what you have to do is you have to adjust, right? You got to adapt. And what we did is we brought guys in that we feel like can go out there and get it done.
Sorry if you already asked this, but what's the value of familiarity between a quarterback and his wide receivers? If someone like Byron Brown's trying to make the jump to the SEC, to have a bunch of guys that he's played with already in his career?
Yeah, from a quarterback perspective, you always preach timing, precision, and accuracy, and a quarterback has to be comfortable with who he's throwing the ball to. And so you can really accelerate that process when you have familiarity with the guys that you're throwing to. So there's a couple guys that had played a ton of ball last year with Byron Brown that he feels really comfortable with, that you can really close your eyes as a quarterback and know this is where he's going to be at. And that gives you confidence, right? And you don't have to spend time figuring things out in a game, in the season. Like, it's already been proven. He already knows what it is. And so I think that's the biggest key, is just everybody being on the same page, and you don't have to figure out who you are as a team throughout the course of the first couple games to figure it out. So
it feels like that would be beneficial to receivers making the jump to the SEC too. The fact that they have a quarterback that they just spent at least one season playing with.
Yeah, look, I think obviously I play quarterback. Like, quarterback is the hardest position to play in all of sports, I think. And so as a receiver, like, our job is to be where we're supposed to be for the quarterback, right? And so definitely helps for the wideouts, but more so it helps the quarterback being comfortable with the guys he's throwing to.
You mentioned, Keyshawn's got a lot of pub. Coger's got a lot of pub. Chaz is a guy that people seem to have overlooked a little bit. You mentioned him. What does he bring to the table for you guys?
Man, Chaz is uber explosive. I signed Chaz out of high school at Tennessee, and he played quite a bit of ball in the SEC and has been proven. And he's explosive. He's really, really talented. And again, he got overlooked because when you look at last year, he's a guy going into the season, and really the first few games was kind of the guy, and then he ended up getting a lower body injury, and so he missed a lot of time. But he was on track to go for close to about 1,200 yards. So just who he is as a person, he's really, really smart. He's dynamic, and he's one of the more explosive players I've ever been around. Like, he can really run, and he's a good player.
Coach, when you look at some of the former Auburn players who came back with you guys, like Bryce Kane, Sam Turner, what are your plans for them and your goals to see them doing this spring?
Yeah, you really want to see those guys continue to grow and develop, right? Bryce did a ton special teams, didn't necessarily take a ton of snaps at receiver, and then Sam is a young player as well that really redshirted, and those guys have a chance to be in an offense where we're uber explosive, that they'll get exposure to things they've never seen and really done before. So I'm just excited to work with them on a day in and day out basis to where they can truly grow and develop as wideouts. And that's the key, man. There's still as hard as college football is, and a ton of transfers and guys leaving them, you still have to develop players, right? That's our job, is to get the best out of the guys that you have. And so I'm excited to get a chance to work with both those players.
Kodi, you guys come in and know you got to sign some high school kids too, and he'll grab a few guys late. Let's talk about the additions you made and maybe what fans might see out of those guys.
Yeah, so really dating back to the last place I was at USF, there's guys that we were really high on, and you kind of call them out of reach, that, man, they're probably going to be bigger than where we were at the time. And so it's been a blessing to be able to get those guys here. And number one, Deshaun Spencer, who I was big on, man. I thought he was always one of the better slots in the country, and had an authentic relationship with him and his whole family. And we thought we had a real chance, and we honestly did at the end at USF. And obviously just the timing of everything, that where we get the job the Sunday right before signing day, and then he's here, and it makes sense, right? Because he wanted to be in the system that we run in this offense, but it's obviously hard to turn down the SEC. So super excited to be able to work with him. Uber talented, comes from an incredible program at Saraland, just put players out. And, man, long time ago we had Bayless Jones, right, at Tennessee, who I coached for a year and went third round, and they're all kind of that same mode, and they got the other kid that came out of there as well. So super talented, and super excited to work with him. Then you got Big Brian Williams, right? A kid that is really, really talented. Played at a real program at TFA where they're playing national games. So he's had that exposure to some of the best players in the country. And you talk about size, you talk about the ability to bend and move, and he looks like a slot when he runs routes. And so I'm expecting a lot, from him as far as developing really, really quick with his size, his body control. And really, for a quarterback, the bigger guys, like the catch radius is really what stands out to me. And so he's really smart, uber talented, excited to work with him. And then you got the Brady Marchese, right? So just how everything works, just worked out that, he gets out of his deal at Michigan. He's able to come here, and being Auburn Tiger. Uber excited. He's another guy that I was on pretty early at the other place, and it got to a point like, Coach, like, we love you, but man, like, we got some other stuff out there that's a little bit bigger. So again, he's got a chance to be a really good player. He's talented. He can really, really run. He's tough. He's gritty. He's kind of that old school receiver that you like. So I'm excited to get a chance to work with him as well.
Kodi, we got the news recently that Gus Malzahn has decided to retire. He was your coach for a stretch of your Auburn career. You knew about him dating back to high school, and obviously he had a big impact on your career. Just your memories of Coach and how you sort of received the news that he decided to step down.
Man, really mentor to me. Everything that he meant throughout the course of my life, as a player, as a coach, giving me that opportunity, and really what he's meant to Auburn, right? Like when I talk to Coach, he talks about Auburn like man, I want us to get back. Like, what do we got to do to continue to grow and get better? And so, man, just the most respect for who he is as a person, Miss Christie, his daughters, what they meant in my life is big, and really, like, all he's wanted to do was help his former players in any way that played here for him. And that's the man he is that when you call him, it's all about connections. It's all about, the relationships. And that's what he is. He's a relationship-based person. He's authentic. He's genuine. And again, Auburn is a tough job, yet it's the best job in the country. And for him to be able to do what he did here while he was here, I thought spoke highly of who he is as a coach and who he is as a person, and I respect him for his time here. And again, this dates back for me from me being in high school, growing up as a young kid in the state of Arkansas, seeing that this guy, Coach Malzahn, this offensive genius, that, man, I just want to have a chance to play for him. And it just so works out that I'm coming out of high school, he's at Arkansas, I choose to go to Auburn, and then 2 years later he shows up and he's my coach. And then 2 years later we win a national championship. And then 3 years later we go back to a national championship. And then 4 years later we go to an SEC championship, right? So however you view him, he's done a lot for Auburn, and I respect him and truly love him as a person and a coach as well.